Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
The first storm of spring is pounding San Diego County. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It began with drizzle and light showers on Sunday and Monday, but then the atmospheric river rolled in. KPBS reporter John Carroll says we're not even close to being done with this latest storm.
It's a truism when it comes to stormy weather. Travel troubles are sure to follow. As of 11 this morning at San Diego International Airport, 88 flights coming into or leaving the airport were delayed. That's according to FlightAware, which also says 9 flights were canceled. Slower forms of transportation affected as well. Ocean Beach got slammed this morning. Drivers splashing through puddles. The OB Pier getting just what it doesn't need, more pounding on the pilings, on a day when the city of San Diego officially launched the Ocean Beach Pier Renewal Project, a campaign to collect public input on options for the beleaguered pier. Further south in another beach town, the beachfront at Imperial Beach was deserted. This is spring break time when lots of sand-starved college students get their time in the sun. But no sun and not much business for the owner of Ye Olde Plank Inn, Martin Mattis.
It's been rough. I mean, we have 2 days of good weather, 5 days of bad weather. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad.
We don't see enough time in between those storms because they were significant storms. So, in other words, they produced 1 to 3 inches of rain each one.
In Mission Valley, the San Diego River was out of its banks, and that meant turnaround time for drivers trying to reach points north. Alex Tardy says the colder part of the storm arrives tonight and will last through tomorrow. Silver lining for those of us in San Diego County, a rainy season that's proven to be a drought buster. On the flip side, we're already 4 inches above normal in downtown San Diego, and there is more to come.
By Wednesday afternoon, we could be at 13.6, and that would put us at the wettest year in San Diego, going all the way back to 2005.
But wait, there's more. Tardy says another storm that will impact the entire state is slated to move in next Tuesday into Wednesday. John Carroll, KPBS News.
And we'll have the extended forecast a bit later. Not surprisingly, the city of San Diego will try to get more people off of the streets and into shelters tonight. We've seen this a lot due to the unsettled weather the past few months. 4 locations in the downtown area will have extra beds available, and those are in the Joan Kroc and Paul Mirabile centers at Father Joe's Villages, Living Church of the Nazarene, and San Diego Rescue Mission. Check-in times, the type of people served, and available beds vary by location. San Diego's 2 largest educational institutions are coming together tonight for a joint meeting that will impact high school students across the county. KPBS education reporter MG Perez joins us now live from Logan Heights for more on the meeting that has just begun. MG.
Maya, we are here at Logan Memorial Educational Complex and Campus. It is one of the largest schools in the San Diego Unified School District, educating students all the way from TK through their graduation in 12th grade. But tonight, it is the setting of the 11th annual joint meeting of the district's Board of Trustees, as well as trustees from the San Diego Community College District. They have lots to talk about tonight, including a program for high school students who are looking to get an early start in a career in nursing.
Hello, Miss Liza. My name is Serena. We're going to be doing your vitals today. How are you feeling?
This is a practice session in how to become an effective nursing assistant on the way to earning the credential required to get a job in the field. Serena Espinosa and Jonathan Guerrero graduated from high school just before the COVID pandemic shut down the world and their hopes for a career.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, 100%. I had a straight path. I'm going to do just straight nursing, and and I'm going to be working full-time at the same time because of the job that I had was so lenient.
At first, I just took it as a way to increase my chances of getting into the City College nursing program, but now that I'm here, I think it's a really valuable experience to start seeing what the actual field is going to be.
That valuable experience in becoming a nursing assistant is offered here at the San Diego Community College Continuing Education Cesar Chavez campus. This summer, for the first time, high school students from San Diego Unified will learn how it's done and get credit for it. It is one of the new collaborations between the Community College District and San Diego Unified. That also helps meet the current shortage of healthcare workers.
This provides our students from high school all the way through their journey to our campuses to get their nursing certificates so that we can meet that gap for nursing assistants or nurses in the field.
What did we eat?
Just a hot chocolate and a sandwich.
It's a benefit to these current students, too. And again, that is a pilot program that will begin this summer. This joint meeting has just begun. There will be public input included, and it is expected to go well into the evening, Maya.
And MG, besides the nursing assistant program, what else is on tonight's agenda?
Well, the two boards of trustees will discuss pending state educational legislation and how they can work together to get some of that passed. They're also going to be talking about fundraising, which is an important part of education. Maya?
MG, thank you so much for that report. This week, California's largest school district is in the middle of a labor dispute. In a show of support for staff who are demanding better pay, teachers are participating in a 3-day walkout. Mike Valerio has an update on the situation in Los Angeles.
Union school service workers on the picket line in Los Angeles. With them, a union representing around 30,000 LA public school teachers.
We start this solidarity strike in support of SEIU Local 99.
We know losing pay will be difficult, but LAUSD has pushed us to a strike.
Cafeteria workers, custodians, bus drivers, and more, all fed up and united in their demands, primarily a 30% pay raise, one that could pull many union members above the state's poverty line.
Who can live on $25,000 a year?
House Democratic Congressmember Adam Schiff warning that 1 in 3 of the striking workers is at risk of homelessness.
They have to spend 85% of their income just to keep a roof over their head.
We know it is hard for our students and their families, but the permanent change that we're asking for will help students forever.
The LA Unified School District's latest offer included a 23% pay raise and full health benefits for some part-time workers. That was rejected by the union.
We have been at a fixed position for a long time. We want to land a historic contract that honors the work of our workforce.
Striking workers say their demands are fair and clear.
The onus is on the district. Did y'all hear me? The onus is on this district.
In Los Angeles, Mike Valerio, KPBS News.
To our south, tens of thousands of Mexicans are protesting their president's unpopular election reforms. KPBS border reporter Gustavo Solis explains what those reforms are and what they mean to the United States.
Mexico has a totally independent National Electoral Institute. There's nothing quite like it here in the U.S.
They're professional electoral managers, and they run all of the elections, and they set up all the polling stations, and they print all the ballots, and they manage the registry, the electoral registry. We do not have that equivalent. We're very, very decentralized.
Kathleen Brun is an expert on Mexican democracy. She says the dispute between President Andrés Manuel López Obrador and the National Electoral Institute dates back to 2006. That's when López Obrador lost the presidential election by less than 1 percentage point. He didn't take the loss very well.
He declared that he was the legitimate president of Mexico. He asked his party not to take their seats in Congress. He occupied the central square, the Zócalo in Mexico City. He blocked streets. and has still refused to accept that that election was legitimate.
Now that he's president, López Obrador wants reforms. They would reduce the Electoral Institute's budget, gutting thousands of jobs and jeopardizing funding for polling stations in rural areas. Brun is also concerned that this could lead to drug cartels or foreign actors financing Mexican elections.
Non-democratic Mexico is bad for San Diego, it's bad for California, it's bad for the United States. It is a Mexico in which there would be more political instability, because there will be many Mexicans who don't support this trend towards less democracy.
Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, Los Angeles school staff go on strike, forcing more than 400,000 students to stay home. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
The San Diego Wave are investing in a homegrown talent by signing the youngest player in league history. Melanie Barcenas will spend the next 3 years with the Wave. At 15 years and 138 days old, she is the youngest to suit up for a team in the NWSL. Barcenas plays forward, the same position as Alex Morgan. She lives in Claremont with her family and has spent recent years with the elite youth club San Diego Surf in Del Mar.
It's like so crazy. It's like full circle, because I was literally training on those fields like my entire life, and now to be playing and representing like the women's soccer team is like crazy, and I'm like so excited and blessed.
And Wave FC begin their season Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. The team says it's already sold more than 23,000 tickets, which will be a new record for a season opening game by a team in the National Women's Soccer League. The San Diego State men's basketball team is headed to the Sweet 16 for the third time in program history. KPBS reporter Melissa May spoke with some of the team before they leave for Kentucky.
The fifth-seeded Aztecs have won 11 of their past 13 games and will play number 1 seed Alabama this Friday in Louisville, Kentucky.
It's a perfect opportunity just to go and show the world like who we are and what we're made of, and we can compete with the number 1 team.
Head coach Brian Dutcher is preparing his team for their toughest opponent this season.
We'll have toughness and grit. We'll contest every shot they take. And like I said from the start of the year, as long as we're playing at our best, then I like our chances.
Senior guard Adam Seiko is using the canceled 2020 NCAA tournament due to the pandemic as motivation.
For myself and, me, Keyshawn, AG, Nate are the only people, Jared Barnett, were a part of that team. For that to go down how it did was very disappointing. And, flashback 3 years later, we're making a run in the tournament in Sweet 16. So we're not complacent. We want to keep making a run, hopefully to the Final Four.
And other players are embracing being the underdog.
We'll pull up tweets, videos, and everything that people just talking down on us and not expecting us to win, and they're not believers. And so, yeah, we embrace it for sure. Like, we are the underdogs.
They're a big physical team. Top 5 defense in the country. They get out in transition a lot. They're fast. Obviously they have Brandon Miller, who's one of the top players in the country. And they have good players all around.
The team has used the mantra of getting 1% better every day and are enjoying their March Madness experience.
All the fans coming to the game, supporting us. It's all just, it's all a blessing to see them out there with us and, carry on this energy with us that we have. So going on to Kentucky, and hopefully we get the same amount of love. I know it's going to be packed with Alabama fans over there, but I know our fans will show up as well.
Melissa May, KPBS News.
And March Madness coincides with spring break for a lot of school districts and colleges, and that means a busy time for travel. Shelley Molosky tells us why this might be the busiest spring break ever in the airline industry.
Spring is here, and the airline industry has been bracing for what it says will be the busiest travel season ever. According to a new forecast from Trade Group, Airlines for America, 10 major airlines, including Delta, Southwest, and JetBlue, are expected to carry a record number of passengers this season.
We can pretty well expect that those predictions to come true, and the reason why is that for each of the 2 months so far in 2023, you have seen travel numbers exceed the same month in 2019.
So what does this mean for you? Travel expert Scott Keyes says expect more of what's become the usual. Longer lines at airports and packed popular destinations. Meanwhile, AAA's spring travel survey suggests many families are taking multi-generational vacations.
Families are making up for lost time. Grandparents traveling with their adult children and their grandkids.
Experts say spring is seen as a critical test for the airline industry, which is still working to recover and return to pre-pandemic capacity levels despite robust demand.
I think you're seeing a renormalization of travel in 2023, both for spring break and beyond.
If you still haven't booked, here's one tip to find a spring break deal. Consider arbitrage. If you live near a city that has a different spring break schedule, consider booking flights from there instead.
With different academic calendars, you're going to see a different spring break week and substantially cheaper fares out of those cities.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Shelley Malashi.
We continue to see significant impacts in terms of locally heavy rain, thunderstorms. We've seen those too, along with some gusty winds. And speaking of the winds themselves, will continue throughout the overnight, but we will be trending quieter very late this week into the upcoming weekend. But we're not there yet. We're still talking about some very gusty winds here as we go right through the evening and into the nighttime, where there are even some high wind warnings out towards San Diego, Chula Vista, and then out towards some of the higher terrain, even the high deserts, looking at some significant wind impacts. Also looking at the potential for more heavy rain, not only tonight, but even with showers and some thunderstorms on Wednesday. These flood watches go up right through Wednesday into the late evening. And snowfall, that's going to be primarily about 5,000 feet here. We're talking about areas toward Mount Laguna, Pine Valley could see some wintry weather, and that's where we have winter weather advisories. And you can see all that precipitation rolling its way in throughout the evening, but then we'll continue to see more energy press additional precipitation to the picture as we work our way through Wednesday. All right, so let's take you step by step here over the course of the next couple of days as we go throughout the overnight. Wet weather will continue along with those gusty wind speeds and snow over the higher terrain, especially above 5,000 feet. That does include Mount Laguna, where we'll continue to see the snow tomorrow. Showers, but even some thunderstorms going to be a possibility. High temperature topping off at 61, San Diego, Chula Vista, Oceanside, into the upper 50s. And we're talking about some of the interior valleys looking at, again, multiple inches of rain, especially toward the San Diego County mountains. But significant impacts will stretch again locally, points on off toward the north. In terms of the wet weather, snowfall amounts here. Again, notice Mount Laguna, we could see more than 6 to even 8 inches of snow. And then you have to go north to see those incredible amounts around Wrightwood and also toward Big Bear Lake. All right, let's talk about conditions as we work our way down the road here and out toward the coast. We're going to be looking at some quieter conditions later on this weekend but it will stay cool. Interior valleys, wet and windy weather conditions will continue on Wednesday, but we're quieting things down Friday into the weekend. We're going to remain on the cool side, though, right into Sunday as we talk about the mountainous terrain. Snow continues, again, like I said, around Mount Laguna, above 5,000 feet primarily. Friday into the weekend, we see some sunshine returning, but it's going to stay chilly and a little cool here even toward the deserts, and the wind will continue to be a concern on Wednesday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Justin Pavic.
A new perk for those who work for the city of San Diego. The city council gave final approval to make Juneteenth a paid day off. In 1865, on June 19th, is the day Union soldiers informed enslaved black people in Texas that they were free. The local effort was led by council members Monica Montgomery Stepp and Vivian Moreno. Economic uncertainty and higher interest rates are taking a toll on investment returns. For most of us, that means a retirement plan like a 401k. Ivan Rodriguez talked with financial experts about money decisions during times like these.
No one likes a stock market on the downturn, and in today's bear market, the idea of investing might not put a smile on your face. But what should you do if you're already participating in a 401k plan at work?
401k is an account type, not an investment strategy.
Isabel Barrow, Director of Financial Planning at Edelman Financial Engine, says it's a no-brainer when deciding whether or not to participate in your employer-sponsored retirement plans because of all the benefits. Barrow says how you look at your 401k, especially in low-performing markets like this one, depends on how soon you're wanting to retire. For those closer to retirement, pay close attention. A down market has more of an impact on your ability to retire with the amount of money you were counting on. And for younger employees, play the long game. don't get spooked.
It's the further away you are from retirement or from needing that money, the less impact these types of market dips or market downturns have on your long term.
And for that group, Barrow says this down market is actually a great time to increase your contributions and invest more, not pull back.
Buying into a market like this and getting a tax break for it and maybe even getting an employer match, well, it's kind of like buying the sweater on sale. And at some point, if the sweater goes back up to $10, you know, hey, look, you've just made $2 by just putting in, you know, by just making that initial contribution.
Ivan Rodriguez, KPBS News.
In recent days, we reported on Governor Gavin Newsom's budget plan and the statewide tour focusing on some of those priorities. One that's getting a lot of attention is to plan to transform the place once known as California's death row. Cornell Barnard reports on Newsom's vision for San Quentin.
We want to be the preeminent restorative justice facility in the world. That's the goal.
Governor Gavin Newsom announcing California's most notorious prison is getting a new name and a new mission.
We have to be in the homecoming business. It's not just about rehabilitation, it's about homecoming.
This prison, built in 1852 and once home to California's death row, will now be called San Quentin Rehabilitation Center, where less dangerous prisoners will get education, training, and rehabilitation under a new plan modeled after Scandinavian concepts of prison life, which focus on preparing people to return to society.
We want to reduce costs. We want to ultimately reduce incarceration by keeping our communities safe, and we want to make sure that people, when they come out as fully engaged, committed members of our community and society and are contributing and not likely to re-enter into the system.
Together, we have created a place where second chances and true hope are a reality.
And that was Cornell Barnard reporting. On Monday, KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen reported on the governor's budget plan as it relates to mental health. You can stream that story on the KPBS YouTube page. This week marks 20 years since the war that defined a generation of military members and families, especially here in San Diego. Ben Weidman takes a look back at the key moments and challenges of the U.S. invasion of Iraq and how some of it is still lingering today.
It began with shock and awe. 20 years ago, the United States and its allies embarked on a war in Iraq. Within weeks, Saddam Hussein's regime fell.
Major combat operations in Iraq have ended. In the Battle of Iraq, the United States and our allies have prevailed.
They prevailed in the brief Battle of Iraq, but the war in Iraq that followed was long and hard. The American road, paved with good intentions, soon led to hell.
Well, welcome to friggin' Iraq. Huh? Get back in the vehicle!
The U.S. never found Iraq's alleged weapons of mass destruction, the original rationale for the war. And blunder after blunder poured fuel on a fire of resentment. Every U.S. operation, like this one I covered in the summer of 2003, left behind a trail of bitterness. By midweek, U.S. troops had detained nearly 400 men, none from their most wanted list. They also managed, however, to arouse a fair amount of resentment. The Americans are occupiers, says this man. They have no manners or ethics. One of them grabbed a Quran and threw it to the ground. The U.S. cobbled together a political order based on sectarian divisions, disbanded the Iraqi army and the once ruling Ba'ath Party, throwing hundreds of thousands out of a job, and was mired in the Abu Ghraib prison scandal, where Iraqis were tortured, humiliated, and photographed. 11 U.S. soldiers were convicted of crimes. Less than a year after the invasion, large parts of Iraq were in chaos. Saddam Hussein was captured, tried, and executed, but the insurgency went on. Abu Mus'ab al-Zarqawi, the Jordanian-born leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, was killed, but the insurgency went on. 2 years after the invasion, sectarian tensions between the Shia majority and the once dominant Sunni Arab minority erupted into civil war, and the killing intensified. The violence only subsided after the U.S. surged more troops into Iraq in 2007.
Through your checkpoints, we're here to support you.
In August 2010, the last U.S. combat troops left Iraq, leaving behind a brittle, corrupt, deeply flawed democratic regime riven by sectarian tensions, which provided fertile ground for the rampage of the Islamic State, or ISIS, spilling over from the war in Syria into Iraq. ISIS seized control of the northern city of Mosul and then captured city after city, reaching the outskirts of Baghdad. It took more than 3 years of bitter combat and foreign military assistance to defeat the group. That enemy vanquished, old discontents resurfaced. In 2019, Baghdad was gripped by massive protests against corruption, sectarianism, and poor living conditions. But like protest movements across the region, it too was crushed. As the U.S. invasion and occupation fade into history, neighboring Iran plays an ever greater role in the country's affairs. Old problems, corruption, dysfunctional infrastructure, and unemployment remain unresolved. Yet despite it all, today Baghdad is more peaceful than it has been in years.
And that was Ben Weidman reporting. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.